I use a filter because I record in my car and it's usually quite dark. Oh, it seemed like I had a good one the other day, but it looks like they do different ones. They're not the same ones. I think that one worked really nice last time. Okay, so hey guys, today is July the 9th. I'm just getting off of work. Y'all know that I refer to this as my checkered skin because it feels like I'm wearing my uniform. What is that on my? Is there something on my collar? Gosh. It feels like I wear my uniform more than I wear anything else because I'm always at work, always getting off of work, headed to work, or something like that. Work is always strategically in the way of my life. Girl, because we work to live and live to work. Hustle hard until it hurts. Work your fingers down to the bone. And once you pay your bills, ain't got nothing to come home with. Hey, once you pay your bills, ain't got nothing to come home with. Once you pay your bills, ain't got nothing to come home with. That's a little song I wrote because, oh, that's one of the biggest challenges in my life. I am striving to be an entrepreneur. And girl, it's so hard to work on your passion, purpose, or anything in life when you constantly run into work and then getting off of work tired and don't really want to do anything else. And then once you sleep and recover, it's time to go back to work. Like, girl. So, anyways, I'm here to do part 5. It's 5 because basically I'm trying to squeeze this into you have the Tetris of life, and then work is this big huge chunk that goes right down into your little puzzle piece, your box, and now your box is almost full, so you got to fit everything else in around work, family, passion, purpose, spirituality. Everything has to fit around work, barely. So you squeeze it in barely. So that is why it's taking me so long to just finish the story. But we will get it done. All right, guys. So this is where we left off. I'm going to link in the description box parts 1 through this is now 5. So the 1 through 4. She blamed me because she homeless. Like, girl, I ain't put you on the streets, girl. Okay, so where we left off on part 4, we were talking about how my aunt, you, how we got there. I don't want to synopsize it because I'll take too long to do that, girl, because my mind just flows all over the place and I'll get off track, right? But anyways, my aunt was depending on me to find an apartment because she was about to be homeless soon. You want to hear any other backstory? Description box. Okay. So I found an apartment, and 3 apartments were taken from up under me. It was very, 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 very difficult to even find an apartment. So once I found this one and got this far, it was like it wouldn't be good to just stop because you're seeing this delay here, to just stop here and run and go do something else, because you could be you're starting from scratch, and it's harder when you're starting from scratch than just keep tilling what you have right here. That brings something else to mind. Oh, I think I need to record another video and I'll put it in that little card section about just what I just said, but it ain't on topic. Um so I kept sticking with that one. So they said that the next apartment available was September the 21st, which my late sister's birthday. So I'm definitely going to remember that date. The girl had said, let her know if I wanted the apartment that's coming sooner than September 21st. Because it was, I don't know what month we were in, but it may have been almost a year ago now, right? I think we were in the June, July time or whatever. So September was kind of far off. And I believe she had something coming up in August. Yeah. So, dang, it's been almost a year. So I was like, thinking about it, and I got back to her. Finally, I said, yeah, go ahead, let's move forward. And there was no answer from her. So I'm like, what's going on? Find out she's pregnant. She was pregnant and she is on maternity leave, but she's never coming back. So everything that went on between me and her is gone. It was between me, her, and God, and nobody else knows somehow. I don't understand how they kept no other notes, and she took all information with her, but that's what happened. Okay, so they don't see anything about a new, I'm not a new apartment, but yeah, a new date that's closer to move in. And they said, and matter of fact, you owe a balance to our company, so we can't even let you move into this one, which was the no, that was on September the 20th. They told me that. So I could not move into the apartment the next day. That's why they never even reached out to me. So the next one was coming up was October the 15th. And I remember that because that's my dad's birthday. The first apartment was, I'm sorry, the second one was like a day or two after my daughter's birthday. So it was strategically always linked to, the move-in date was always linked to a very personal day that I'm gonna remember, right? Because a lot of times I can second guess myself. Maybe I didn't hear right. Maybe that's part of that narcissistic abuse too. Always second guessing myself. That is something I picked up because of this abuse and other types of situations that went on in my early childhood and young adulthood. So now I see why I'm the mess I am. And literally, I cried out at 40. If y'all don't know, God, what is wrong with me? And he answered me. He started revealing what was wrong with me. I was under narcissistic abuse. I had so much damage mentally that was going on in my mind. And I basically, I don't know, they were my enemy and I was my enemy as well. Okay. So I questioned myself whether that was the right date or whatever. But it, God just knows how to set everything up. Thank you, Jesus. So he strategically placed it with the date that I would not question, right? So see how he worked with you when you are flawed and he knows you flawed. So he's gonna do a direct like way that you cannot get this wrong. What is that on my windshield? Get off. Girl, that's actually sidetracking me because there's a rather large, weird looking bug on my windshield. Okay, so they were like, no, and matter of fact, you cannot move in because you owe the company a balance. So I had to move out of my old unit because I was not going to re-sign the lease. It costs a lot more to re-sign a lease. So I was just not going to re-sign it because this one was coming available. And I was just going to, chill at my dad's house. Anyways, I be there a lot anyways because I'm caregiver to my sister. Who is epileptic. So I'm around there anyway. It was quite difficult to maintain your household and still be like constantly attending to my sister. Like it just didn't work. So I was just back and forth, back and forth. So it was nicer to kind of be right there with her. Okay, so they had, when I moved out of my old apartment June the 30th. Was it June the 30th or was it July 30th? I I think it was June 30th. It was somewhere around there. So I moved out. So it was a span in between moving out this apartment to moving in this one. But before I moved out of this one, I was already approved for this one, right? So I was already approved for this one. Then it was me moving out of this one, and then it was me moving into this one. But they're connected by mother companies. They're different complexes, completely different locations, but mother company the same. So I was already approved for this one. Once I moved out of this one, I'm looking like thinking I might get a little bit out of my deposit back, and I get this bill. Boom! You owe $5,000+ after we took your deposit, and I'm like, for what, girl? Like what? What? You would have thought I tore the apartment down from top to bottom, girl. It was stupid stuff that they were charging me for. And the biggest part was because I was not able to give them that 60 days notice that I'm not going to resign my lease. That is the dumbest thing. Like, notice should be, hey, I haven't come in to sign my lease, so notice I'm not going to be there in 60 days. Like, now they got this extra step. If you're going to, you can't just not sign a lease. You got to sign something saying that I'm not going to sign the lease. Like, girl, they find every way to charge you. Like I said, systems companies, they're narcissistic as well, right? They don't too much care about you, but they're gonna get you in a bind if you don't give them, like, this and that. But then yet they won't come in and fix stuff. They won't do this, they won't do that. But you got to do everything as a tenant by the book. That's very narcissistic, right? Okay, so, and I was told by the pregnant girl that was missing that yes, they could charge it, because I asked her, I said, but you're telling me about this apartment and it's already past my 60 days. So now I kind of got to stay here. And she was like, no worries. We work for the same company. All I have to do is boom, 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 turn this in and they'll waive it. Like, basically, they'll, oh man, I hope it's recording it. Just did something weird. I don't want to redo all of that. And I hope it's not so pixelated that you can't see me. Amen. Okay, so, anyways, where was I at? Oh yeah, so she was missing and there was like no verification that she told me don't worry about that. So I need to worry about that. That's one of my things in my life that I've had to always worry about every little detail, because those are the things that usually go wrong. So that's why I know I asked her, and she was like, oh, don't worry about it, it's okay, it'll be all right. And then look, I should have worried about it, because it's clearly not okay, because now you're not here and nobody knows what happened behind the scenes, right? Okay, so I get this big bill and they're like, so you can't move into the apartment on the 21st because you owe the company. Till you pay the company, you are not moving in. So I go to legal aid. I went to this other place. Legal aid referred me to somebody else because I don't really have the money to dispute this. I initially, now this is where, oh God, you will have things inside of you, greatness inside of you that you don't know you have. You've been beat down so much. You've been told that you're nothing. You're the lowest of the low. You're horrible. You're dumb, basically, because you cannot rely on your own. Don't even rely on what you believe, you think, you feel. You're wrong, right? But not knowing that God is actually placing greatness inside of you. Y'all know on my other channel, I had to deal with my husband being wrongfully convicted, incarcerated. I'm trying not to marry the two, but when it does have to do with narcissism, narcissism. Oh, I love that, narcissism. But narcissism, girl, narcissism, or any of that other stuff. There, I'll kind of mention it there. But basically, when my husband was wrongfully convicted, we were two poor kids. He was 19, I was 20. We didn't have a dime to our name. Because of it, basically, for a great legal assistance, for them to even fight for you, to even put up a fight for you, you have to have money. The free lawyer that is provided to you, if you cannot afford it, doesn't, they do what you pay. You pay nothing, so they do nothing. Basically, because we were poor, my husband was taken and snatched away from my family when our daughter was just 9 months old. So this is why we're separated, because we were poor, right? But because of it, I put up a fight. I was like, no, you're not just gonna. No, this is. I dealt with so much narcissism. Now I can't even say it right. I dealt with so much narcissism. I was the scapegoat in my family. I was bullied as a child for two reasons. In elementary, I was picked on because I went to an all white school and I was the only black girl, and I was made fun of for my hair. I was ridiculed to the point where I cut my hair off. And then I got to middle school and I was a tomboy. And I'm an artist, so I made my own skateboard, fell on my face, skid across the sidewalk, all the side of my face, knocked out my teeth, got up off the ground, looked like a monster. So kids deemed me Scarface. This was middle school, they threw rocks at me. So I was always just rejected everywhere, rejected as a child, rejected as a adolescent, rejected. Then I am so far in age between me and my little sisters that I became the scapegoat. Everything's my fault. My sister under me, when she became sick, my mother couldn't discipline her, and she became extremely like bad. I don't even know how else to say that. Like she was bad. And because my mother would try to discipline her and she would go into seizing, my mother stopped doing that. And basically everything that was geared to all the other children, basically I got the brunt of it. It was all my fault because I was the oldest. That's your fault. That's your fault. I got so many stories to tell. It was my fault. Okay, so when my sister became sick, I had two little sisters under this little sister. And because they seen how bad she was, they became even worse, like bad. So our house was chaotic, crazy, ridiculous. Everybody fighting, arguing, not a moment. And then mom coming in, arguing, fighting. It's my fault because I'm the oldest and I should have them under control. So I was just always just sitting there, just waiting for something. I know it's my fault for something. I know I did something wrong. I don't know what it is, but I know I did something. And that came to me constantly over trying to do everything right. I got to do it all right because something's going to be my fault. So when I met my husband, first time in my life I felt love. He loved me with those scars on my face. He loved me with my chip tooth. Well, I think I had got it fixed by then. He loved me being cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. He loved me for me. The first time I finally found love, and I felt like it was a cruel joke because it was snatched from me. It was snatched away. We had so many plans to be a family together. He was actually there for my daughter. He wasn't the deadbeat. He didn't run away. He did nothing. It was so perfect. And then it was taken from me by a narcissistic system that is really not there to find whether you're guilty or not guilty. Doesn't care. It's for money. It's for money. And when you lack money, you lose. So my husband was gone, and from that point I started fighting. I started trying to meet everybody I could meet, tell the story to anybody I could tell the story to, because I wanted my husband home. And because of it, I was the one that basically did all the investigation in his case. I was the one that learned law from, like, I literally thought I wanted to be a lawyer when my husband was taken away. But those mental, what do they call it? It's like the critic inside of you, your self-talk. It's a specific word for that, but it became negative. It was like, you're too dumb. Like, you're a single mother. How in the world you can't be no lawyer? Like, you don't know how to do this or do that. You ain't good at nothing anyway. You don't never do anything right. Ain't no way you could be a lawyer. And so I never thought I could have been a lawyer, but I literally now know I could have been one, right? That's crazy. So I basically solved my husband's own case. I did all the investigation. I have been pounding the pavement. He's still wrongfully incarcerated, but that's my other channel. That's not here. I'm not going to mix the pot because a lot of people believe our system is like, you know how a lot of people believe the when you're going against a narcissist, most times others are going to believe the narcissist. They're not going to believe you. They're going to think you're just whining, you're just complaining, you're this, you really are, reactive abuse. So when the narcissist push you and then you react, then they're like, see, look how they is. That's how they are. Yep, I told you it was them. The system as well is like that. So I basically solved his case, but still trying to get him home. But the thing is that, and on that side note, he has about 14 more years. We raised our daughter together. She's 23. He was snatched from our family when he was wrongfully arrested when she was 2 months old. I hadn't even got off of bed rest. So if you're a chosen one, you done been through these crazy is like I like to say it, crazy things, and that's a crazy ass thing. Like I was basically and not even off a bed rest thinking I have the family finally. I always only wanted love in my life. I didn't have that with the childhood. Like though my parents loved me, they didn't know how to communicate it. I thought they hated me. I finally got love and now it's snatched from me. I thought it was a cruel freaking joke. But because of fighting and basically learning so much about the law and rights, real rights, and how to enact your rights and this and that, I fought my own case against the apartment complex. Girl, I couldn't even think, I wouldn't have ever thought I could do that. But I won. I fought the complex. That's like, wasn't that a song? I fought something and I won. I can't even think of it, but I can't believe I actually won. I lose all the time. I used to previously when basically I thought I was cursed. I always lost. Whether I was right, I still lost. Or if I was wrong, I lost. So I was like, just okay, I already know somehow this is my fault. I know. But I fought the apartment complex and I won. So when it first happened, I didn't believe that I went crazy that day. Seeing a bill that I owe $5,000, like literally, I'm a disabled worker. I can't even work as much as I need to work to take care of myself. Like, I raised my daughter alone. Well, basically, me and my husband raised my daughter together through prison visits. But financially, it was all me because, he can't provide financially because he's in prison. So, I don't even know how I got her raised, like basically, because I've always been broke my whole life. That's why I know that's not the life that God did not put me here to always be struggling for $1. Like that is not why I was birthed and born into this world. To struggle for $1 to barely take care of myself and my family? No. So I couldn't imagine. I work at a theme park. I don't even make that much money. How am I going to pay you 5,000 something dollars? So my first, God was just directing me straight through this. I initially, after freaking out and going overwhelmed, and the first thing you do, I don't have much of a circle, right? I don't keep friends because of basically narcissistic energy, basically. And friends always did me wrong. Like, it literally, you could be the best friend you want to be, but they always, and I do have some story times about that. I believe this narcissistic spirit, when it attacks you, it comes through every way it can. It's different people, but it's the same spirit attacking you. So I don't keep friends. My last friend that I had told me, girl, we were never friends. And from that point, I was like, never mind, no more. My family, most of my family acts really bogus towards me. I literally I can count on less, I don't even need all my fingers on this one hand of real family members that I know are true blue. And I have family. So it's like you literally feel alone. So the first thing you do when you freak out, I got this big bill, you call the narcissist, because I have the narcissistic cousin, the narcissistic aunt. I have my dad and I have my sister, but my sister basically is special needs, so she doesn't understand a lot. So who do I go to? Like, I literally only got God, but physically I have nobody, and my mother's gone. My mother's deceased. So I don't have a physical being to go to. So that was a lot of the reason why the narcissist stayed in my life so long, because it was like, I would always say, they're not good. Like, basically, they're not the best family, but they're the only family I have. Right? So I would deal with their evil, backstabbing ways, because it was like, literally, I have nobody else. You know what I'm saying? You could if you could understand, just give me a red heart emoji or something in the comment section if you understand what I'm saying. So that was a lot of why I stayed, in contact with them, because I really don't have anybody else. And if you are a chosen one, you will find yourself alone. And I know it scared the heck out of me, but when I was a child, I had a dream that God was saying I was going to be alone. I'm going to be alone. And I always was scared that that dream was coming true. First, my husband snatched from me, and so that's why I would stay in contact with the narcissist. So when something like this happened, I jump on the phone and calling them. Can you believe this? And my aunt, though she's narcissistic, she does know how to get out of a bind. She knows a lot, because they gotta know a lot, because they gotta get themselves out of all them sticky situations they put themselves in. And not to mention, she did help with the time before when I was disputing my prior to that apartment I moved out in June. I was in a condo. In the condo, the lady charged me for nothing. She just literally just took my deposit. So I called one day and I'm like, okay, like, I'm wondering, it's been way past 30 days. Where's my deposit? And she's like, oh, your deposit. Oh, you're not getting one. And I'm like, for what? Like, why? Like, this had never happened to me before. And she was like, oh, the walls were all messed up. And I'm like, lady, I got video. What's on the walls? She didn't know I had that video. So, and then once my aunt, I gave her basically permission to talk for me. Oh my God, don't ever give a narcissist permission to talk for you. That would, they might win, but you also finna get some backlash from it. So I'm thinking, well, she already won that, so I'm gonna have to, she's the only one that I know that can help me out of this. So I call her, let her know, and I literally tried to, I got the dispute letter, all the things that they named off, and I was like, okay, so can you go over this with me to help me write the letter? Because I didn't believe I could write a good enough letter. And as I was talking to her, now this is what happens with my aunt. If you talk longer than 10 seconds, she's not listening. She's talking over you. She's cutting you off. and telling you just this. And I'm like, I'm literally, I had already wrote the letter and I really just wanted to read it to her and her give me some feedback, right? That was it. Does that sound right? Does this sound right? Did I miss something? Because, the narcissists think they know everything. I know I don't know everything. And I know there's plenty more I can learn. So I don't only want to look at something from my perspective. I also want to look from other people's perspective. What would you think if you heard this story? You know what I'm saying? So I'm getting a third party perspective. But the whole time I'm reading, like, she literally won't listen. She's cutting me off. She's answering the phone. She's, oh, so how long this gonna take? I told you just do this, do this. And I'm like, could you just listen for a moment and I can stop, starting over and losing my place? And if you just sat there and listened, she wouldn't. Then she said it was too hot outside because we were sitting in the car. Because at that time she was at my daughter's house. So she came outside. Her little narcissistic dog, like, wouldn't let nobody in the apartment. It wanted to rip your head off, but it was your fault because it's not the dog. So she was narcissistic and the little dog was narcissistic too. So we couldn't go in the house. My daughter couldn't even hardly be in her own house. And she was saying this was a service dog. So that's why we were in the car. Oh, it's too hot out here. I gotta go. You take it forever. You take it forever. So at a certain point, you'd be like, why did I even ask them? Just forget it. I'll figure this out myself. So told her to go ahead on. And I just said, you know what? I prayed over the letter. And I was like, Lord Jesus, just guide me in what to say, like, to these people. I sent off the letter and I got another letter and they had kind of cut off a big portion of that 5,000 something. And I'm like, so, but they never said why. Like, they literally just sent me a new bill, new balance, and never said, they never responded to the disputes. So I'm like, dang, something, I must be right. It's something that, but they never would tell me why. So then she's like, so it was down to 1,200 something, I think. It was significantly less, but I still didn't have that much. I still didn't have it, right? I work at a theme park, barely. And I'm disabled, so I can't work all the hours I need to work. Like, girl, my life is boundaries around everything in my life, right? So she's like, it came down to, I was gonna lose the October the 15th because I was still disputing that old balance and they would not let me move in. And I was like, well, it's still in dispute. Like, how are you stopping this? And that hasn't even been resolved. But they were doing it. The legal aid lawyers, they said, yes, they can do that. So I had disputed again. So I had to send out like 3 dispute letters. And at first they were getting right back to me. That third one, they didn't get right back to me. I'm like, what's going on? Like, I must be on to something. Okay, so they didn't get right back to me, but each time they would cut it down less. And she was like, you playing around. I need a place to stay. I'm going to be homeless. And I'm like, I'm trying. Didn't I tell y'all that? Every time I try to tell this story, my throat goes to itching and I want to cough. I don't want to cough in front of y'all, but I promise you, I just told you that in the last video that it does not do that. And the minute I get off of live, it's not going to do it no more. Girl. So I send a dispute. She's like, you don't care. You up there disputing letters. Not everything on the letter. If I can read, I'm not dumb. Like, it says dispute through mail, written letter. She's telling me, you need to get on the phone and call them and talk to somebody. You doing this all through letter. You gotta get on the phone. You gotta talk to these people like this, and that. And I'm like, it clearly don't say talk to them on the phone. It says letter. Oh, they doing this to you because you let them. You a pushover. You letting them get away with this. I wouldn't let them get away with this. And I'm like, lady, you are stressing me out. This was already stressing me out. Though I was dependent on God, and I'm not going to lie, I was still scared. Most people going to tell you when they depend on God, they carefree. I'm going to tell you the truth. I was dependent on God, but I was scared. I was still wondering like that. The days that when they would see me, I promise you, I had such bad anxiety. I ain't gonna claim it no more. But I had such bad anxiety that just getting a letter in the mail, knowing it was from them, I would literally be scared. I would put it in my seat, in between my seat, and I would pray. And I would say, because I know bad things were always happening, it was always something bad happening. I would say, I'm not going to open this until Monday so that I can enjoy my weekend. I was so freaking scared every time I got a response letter to them. So I knew I had to open it because I know this stuff is time sensitive, but I wouldn't just get it straight out the mail and just open it. It would freak me out. I'd be like, oh my God, like it would literally just hover over me like a cloud or something, a raining cloud. And the whole weekend, I'm like, dang, on Monday, I got to deal with that situation like crazy. Okay, so she was saying that all of that is basically I'm delaying it because I got a place to stay and she don't. I don't care about her having a place to stay. I want to see her homeless and this. And I'm like, lady, um, why would I want to see you homeless? And how is this my fault? And why you ain't looking for your own place to stay? You already see this is not working. It keeps falling apart. Why are you still depending on me? Please go find your own stuff. In that case. So she had oh, it's so strategic, Lord. I can see Jesus' hand. It was so strategic. So I had reached out to them over the phone. I'm like, I sent in the last dispute letter, and it had to be in by September 22nd. Remember my I had to dispute by December 22nd, right? My sister that passed, her birthday was the 21st, right? But by the 22nd, I had to send it out. So I sent out that dispute letter. This is the one they didn't answer right back. And this is when she's like, basically getting scared that I'm going to lose that October the 15th apartment. And after that, there was nothing available to the next year. So she's like, you don't this, and this, and this, and that. And she got on the phone one time calling me, and she was just going off like, you got a place to lay your head. You doing this because of... So I had said, okay, goodbye. Usually I let her sit there and rant, but I'm like, no, this ain't my fault. And I usually would take the blame. Like literally, I would feel like this was my fault that she's homeless. And I'm like, I'm not taking that blame. I'm not taking no more of that. I did all I could do. This was not even a plan for you to be attached to me like that. You said you were trying to help me. So the minute anything happens, they call all the family that's in another state. But you can't talk to nobody. If they hear that you even talk to Boo or Joe or anybody about it, they'll get mad because you're talking behind their back. But they immediately jump on the phone and call everybody and tell everybody the story. Like, I'm like, how is that even there. Like, you can't even get out how you feel. You angry as heck with them. You mad. You trying to see is it really your fault? Is it really you? But you can't even tell the story to another being, but they can. They can, but you can't. When you say it to anybody, you're not letting things go. But they can tell everybody how horrible of a person you are and ramble on and ramble on. Oh, she ain't who you think she is. She ain't this, she ain't that. But I can't say anything. So she had somebody else on the phone, and I was like, goodbye, because they like to call you on three-way and not let you know somebody else on the phone. So she's like, okay, so what's going on? And I was like, they said that they still disputing, ain't nothing happened, ain't nothing changed. And she's like, but what am I gonna do? You already took my money. And I'm like, you lent me the money to pay my application fee and my holding fee. Like, you lent me the money and you already knew what was what. I can't push these people's hand. I don't have 1,000 something to give them. So what do you want me to do? So I said, goodbye. And then that's when she was telling her, see how she is. You see, that's basically reactive abuse, because I usually don't never react. I don't usually say anything. I just sit there and let them go on and on and on and on. And so it was so crazy. So she's like, because you're disputing through the mail, you're holding it up. It's your fault that I'm going to be homeless. And I'm like, you know what? Whatever. I'm already scared, but I'm getting more confident because I see that each time it comes back. And then this last time they just waited. I'm like, I must be on to something. And so the last, I think they were coming up to the date. Well, okay, this was what it was. October the 15th was the move-in date for the apartment. But they had until after October the 15th to respond to my disputes. This was the last time. So either they were going to clear out that whole amount, which I think is what they were going to do. They were trying to bluff me. They were holding this apartment over my head to make me pay that amount. But they had went down and down and down. So the last time, most likely, they were going to let it go. So, end up, I called a guy, and I'm so scared. I'd be so scared. I get on the phone and I'm like, what happened to the dispute? And they're like, oh, they have up until this amount of time to dispute, when they were answering me right back. But now all of a sudden they have all this time and that person's out of town, so they hadn't even looked at the dispute. They're lying. I know they lying. Okay, so he's like, basically, and I'm like, okay, so I could lose the apartment then. That was what they were basically gonna do, make me lose the apartment, because they were trying to make me pay that amount. So I said, well, if we work out a payment plan, because dang, I'm missing something. Because I wanted to work out a payment plan, but I seen another date on there, and I was like, you know what? Because I had the letter, and I was about to say, let's work out a payment plan, but I knew I still didn't have that amount. Like, I don't have the money for that. And the moment before I called them, it's like God said, hang that phone up. I wrote one more dispute letter, and that was the one that they was hung up on. And he said, well, I see they still disputing it. So once I called back after that, they had put it down some more. He was like, so you owe, and I'm thinking it's the 2,000 something. He's like, so you owe, I think it was 1,002 or 300. And he was like, well, I could make a deal with you. If you're going to pay it, Why don't we just make it a flat 1,000? Let's make it a flat 1,000, and then you could pay it, and then you could move into the apartment. And I said, yeah. Because honestly, now this is where the difference between narcissistic people and regular people that don't have, most people do have some narcissistic tendencies, but a narcissist and just a person dealing with some narcissistic tendency, this is the difference between them. The narcissist cannot see anything that they do wrong. They can't see their fault in anything. They can't see nothing. For me, I was like, you know what? Because I did not give the 60 days notice, though it wasn't my fault, because I couldn't, it's so tight you can't find nothing to give 60 days notice. But also the girl told me, don't worry about it, she'll take care of it. So it really wasn't my fault. But I said, if you think about it, I did not give them 60 days. And that fine was $1,500. And I said, but he's offering me 1,000. Okay. So with paying that 1,000, that was technically the fee I would have got for not giving 60 days. And it's even less than it was. It wasn't the 1,500. It was 1,000. I thank God. I thank Jesus Christ. And I said, okay, I paid that. And then I was about to, that's when they moved on with my apartment, my paperwork. Okay, I'm going to stop there because there's a few more details. Oh, and how God separated me from the narcissist. Because at that point, I'm like, yay, I won my case, but I still got to be attached to this narcissist. But I'm going to tell you how God severed that. All right, guys. Thank you. I'm just so glad I can finally tell somebody. Like, narcissists will keep you in this. They'll keep you where they do things to you and you can't tell nobody. But they can tell everybody. And people will formulate how they feel about you from what the narcissist told them. Not really dealing with you. They don't really know the real you. They know who the narcissist has turned you into being, the monster that they've turned you into being. Right? But all right, guys, it's getting hot in this car. And I want to go walk with my grandbaby around the neighborhood before it's dark. So thank you. Yes.